Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It has been long since I was on this platform. You'll be seeing me probably that often, just to take you through the things that I'm very passionate about on strategy, financial analysis, financial modeling, data analysis, and probably just on the energy sector, just for conversational basis, yeah, or purposes. So look at something that I've modeled that you can use as an electricity planner to help you understand how much power you can buy based on your wallet or based on your consumption trend. Or we can continue. Let me just check. Sorry. Mhm. Okay. So we have something like this, guys. So this calculator, you are free to ask for it in the comment box. I'll be able to give you, and you can use it, you can modify it. You can even claim that it is you who actually modeled it. It's fine. It's actually important for a conversation like this one to actually be advanced. I've seen online where obviously some of our citizens are actually saying that the utility company did increase the tariff without telling them. So I was compelled just to model something, just to advance this conversation. Yeah. What is actually interesting, I think this was very predicted. Uh, Before the power crisis, there were actually a number of citizens who actually used to consume over 500 units. Obviously, with the crisis, it meant that people started not consuming to the max. There was no optimization of the units that they were consuming electricity units. So that definitely, even at national level, it actually reduced the quantum of power that each household was actually consuming. I think to some extent, there were times when we could go without power for over 17 hours, even just 20 hours without power. So people would actually consume power within 2 hours or 4 hours or 6 hours. So it is understandable that this time, because there is enough power, I think in the last few days we have witnessed a reduction in load shedding. Actually, in the few days, people are confirming that we have had power for 24 hours in most places. So what does that mean? It means that the load has to increase, and that means that the consumption goes up. And as consumption goes up, you start getting into certain bands. So this is how the tariff is structured. You have the first band, which is R1. Maybe let me just put something like 700 units here. Mhm. So you have the R1, which is from 0 to 100 units. The tariff is at 35 ingwe. You have R at 2, meaning that if you consume 200, the first 100 units, it shall actually be billed at 35 ingwe. Then from above 100 to 200, it will be billed at 1 kwacha. From 200 or above 200 to 400, it will actually be billed at 2.42 kwacha per unit. So at 400 units and above, it will actually be billed at above 400, so at above 400 units, it will be billed at 3.5. So this system is similar to the pay-as-you-earn system. So for those that consume less than 200 units, they will definitely see what I would actually cause heavy reductions if you had to compare with what was in the previous tariff regime. You would actually see huge reductions, or maybe what I would cause discounts. Yeah. So from the data analysis, it does actually show that a number of customers, the number of us who are consuming less than 300 units. For me, I think consistently I've been buying only for 200 kwacha, which was taking me, I think, to about 218 units per two check, consistently so. So with the availability of power or unrestricted power, that it means that people are actually using more power, and probably they are not even using more power. Probably you're not even using more power. What could be the issues that you're actually buying more power? Because obviously these are prepaid, so you buy more power. Then over time, you start seeing that the units start depleting at a faster rate. Uh, Obviously, because of your consumption behavior. So all these other months, it was very difficult to actually have this conversation of saying whether the tariffs have increased or not. But I just want to show you that the more units you buy, the higher the tariff becomes. So if you check on R4, if it is at 23 kwacha per dollar, this would actually give you about 15 cents. So if you do like this, times 100. So it gives you 15 cents. That's the maximum you can go. So as you buy more units over at 200, your tariff would be much lower. At 300, the tariff will actually slightly be up, but it will still be lower. As you go to 1,000 or 2,000, you start seeing that your tariff now starts going to about 13 cents. If you check in the region, the average tariffs, weighted tariffs, at around 12, 13 cents, right? Buying power, if you're buying it at the emergency rate on the SAP or Southern African Power Pool, which they call as daily ahead market, you'll find as high as 35 cents. That is during peak. During standard period, this could be maybe from 10 to about 18 hours. You'd find that it would be around 14, 15 cents. Then at off peak, which is basically from 23 or 11 to 23 to say 05 or 06, you'll find it much cheaper, around 8 to 9 cents. So at max, if you check the last band, it is at 15 cents. Let's do this. So the first band, which is a lifeline, be at about 1.5 cents, which is 35 ingwe, at 23 kwacha per dollar. Then you have in the R2 category to be at 4.3, 10.5, the last is 15. So you cannot have a tariff if, say, for example, you buy your electricity units, you remove your taxes, This is VAT and the excise duty because does not go to the national electricity utility or the utility company. That money goes to ZRA and eventually to the government. So you remove it because it's not part of ZESCO's revenue. So if you just look at the electricity charge and you find that it's at above 15 cents, if you are using the exchange rate of 23, then there could be a problem with the system, or probably you have to recheck your computations. Maybe your computations are also offline. So let me just take you through this small model. It has been tested. It is okay. You can test it. You can ask for it. I'll gladly be able to give it to you. So, for example, someone who is actually buying 100 units, Lifeline, what goes to be just under R1, because R1 is from anything above 0 to 100 units. So, and you're buying only 100 units. So what you'd actually spend in a month or just for this purchase, it will be to be 35 ingwe, the one that goes to ZESCO. But what you're going to spend, what you will be able to see on your app or on your phone will be 41.18 ngwe. 41.82 ngwe. And this is the split. The split is that 3% of this amount goes to, as it is a tax, excise duty, which will be 1.05. Then when you add the 35 ingwe, 35 kwacha, plus 1 kwacha from excise duty, then subject it to a VAT rate of 16%, it will give you 5.77. So total amount that you'll be able to pay, it doesn't matter whether it is going to the government, it's going to ZESCO, what you're actually going to see, what is going to affect your wallet or your pocket. This will be your reduction, 41.82. So I've created a sensitivity here, for example. If you're buying 100 units, this will be the rate, 41. If you decide, let's say you decide to buy 300 units, the 300 units you're going to spend 450, 450 kwacha. But this is where it becomes interesting. If you decide to buy, say, for example, 443 units, maybe not 443 units, let's say it should give you, let's do this. You want to spend a 1,000 kwacha. Let's go this side, guys. I have nothing to do, so we can spend as much time as we tend to. We go to the what if, go to the go seek. So we say, which one are we go seeking? We're go seeking this one, the total charge. We want it to give us how much? 1,000. That's what we want to spend. By changing which cell, we want to change this cell. We want to know how many units we are going to have in this 1,000. And boom. So if we're to spend 1,000 exactly, guys, sorry. don't know where to pause, where to, yeah, it's been long since I used this. Okay, we can continue. Mhm. So if you're to spend 1,000, you consume about 400 and you'll be able to buy 463 units. But then compare with the 300 where you're just buying, where you're buying, spending about 450. What then it actually means that any units above say 400, any units above 400 kwacha, incremental units, you start spending at 15 kwacha, 15 cents or 300 and 3 kwacha 45 ngwe per unit, incremental costs. So the factor becomes much, much bigger. The factor where you actually look at the relationship between the amount that you're spending against the units that you are buying. So the factor becomes much, much lower and it becomes very costly. Okay. What do I do? So, so if I was your personal financial analyst, I'd actually tell you that the optimal units for your purchases is 300 units. Because at 300 units, I'll be able to spend 450. But if I want to pay for power in advance, say 1,000 kwacha, I'll only be able to increase these units by about 150 to take me to a 1,000 kwacha. When a 450 kwacha, I'll be able to get 300 units. Or yeah, this should be the optimal because at 400, the problem is that at 400 units, I'll be able to spend 739. But the moment I attempt to go to is it 463, just to increase by 63 units, I'll have to spend over 270,000 or 260,000, taking me to 1,000. So at 260,000, 260 kwacha, I have to use it to only buy about 63 units of power. So the optimal is about 300 kwacha. So if we say you want to spend 500 kwacha here, how much in terms of the units, how many units would you buy from a 500 kwacha? So say we take this to 500 by changing the number of units there. So by I would have actually increased by just the 17 units, about 17 units from the 300 units. Remember that we had 300 units here. We're actually spending about 450. So the 17 units, I'll have to spend an extra 50 kwacha, taking me to 500. So like for me, the way I buy this power, I'll get, because I know for 200, 200 kwacha. Yeah, I spent 200 kwacha. I think it takes me to about 218 units. Let's check. Yeah. So when I use a 200, because that's what I use, I don't have much, so that's what I use. So when I get a 200 kwacha by power, I spend about 213. The 213, there's a 5 kwacha that goes to ZRI as excise duty. There's VAT as well. As that goes to ZRI. So I have a 5 kwacha plus 27 kwacha, giving me a 200. But that which goes to ZESCO is 167. So if I say this 167 to check how much in terms of the tariff, in kwacha, that would be 0.7 kwacha. In dollars, about 23 times 100. That would be about 3.4 cents. Below cost reflective, but you can optimize through using such techniques or ways of actually trying to save. So this is a sensitivity that I've put. You can change these units. They will definitely show you how much money you can spend in total. The total power electricity charges plus the taxes, which is exercise duty and VAT. I've put these two dashboards just to give you an understanding of some visual of what is happening. So we have the total charges here, the money that would actually spend. If you are buying 100 units, you can see it does not even show because it will be around 41, about 41 or so kwacha that you'll be able to spend. If you're getting 200 like myself, you're actually 200 units, you'll be spending less than 200 kwacha for the 200 units. And the average use or consumption is about 223 units per household. What it means is that you have about 56% that consume less than 100 units. So with that number shows you that you have a sizable number of people that consume about 500 units. Actually, they are about 7%, and they consume over 20% of the total consumption under the residential category. So you can see as you go to about 400 here, like I said, the optimal would be about 300. 400 is fine, 400 units is fine. But as you go to 1,000 units, then the charges become a bit steep. It does just show you that we should find efficient ways of actually using or consuming energy. Then on the impact of units on tariff, like I said, the more units you're getting, the average tariff also starts actually increasing. So let me just expand this. So for those that consume about 100 units, like I said, they account for about 56% of the total customer base under residential, 56%. Actually, 56%, sorry, is for those that consume up to 200 units. Because for those that consume up to 100, they're about 19 to 21% that consume about 100 units. So if you check here, you will see that those that consume below about 100 or below, their tariffs are less than 2 cents. So if we say 56%, it would be around the 56% of the total customer base under residential. We have a sensitivity here, guys. So these 200 units is consumed by more than 50% of the customer base, which is basically around 56, 57. These 200 units, the tariff is at 3.51. So if you're a heavy consumer of energy and in your household you consume about, let's say 1,000, your average tariff will be at about 13.97. What it means that if you're consuming about 500 units, then instead of using these, what one would actually call probably the generating assets that we have that maybe have been fully sweated, like Victoria Falls and the like, it means that there should be a system to give you that power. And that power, it has to be procured somewhere to be probably running dollar energy for you, which is at 25 cents or 26 cents or 30 cents to give you that excess power that you're consuming about 500 units. Or to actually mean that the utility company or any other power trader that is in this particular business of, but in this case, because it's residential, so it means that it's the national utility company. It has to actually go to ESCOM, it has to go to EDM, it has to go to ZESA, Zimbabwe, to go and buy power and specifically supply you. So they'll buy this power without wheeling charges, probably to be around maybe 15, 16 cents. With wheeling charges, you put maybe 2 cents, depending where this power is coming from, to be maybe about 17 or 18 cents, and give you this power at 13.97 cents. But like I've said, the last category of the residential bands, the R4 is at 3.45. You divide that by 23 cents, by 23 kwacha per dollar, it actually takes you to 15 cents. That's the max. But because you have access to R1, R2, R3, it will actually be lower than the 15 cents, be weighted. So I thought I needed to explain this. But you can check my records. For me, I buy only about 200 units. No, I use 200 kwacha and I consume about 213 units. So we just need to employ strategies on energy efficiency and how we actually manage our energy consumption. So this is the most telling graph because then it actually shows you at what category your tariff would be based on your consumption. So there's no one fit all tariff that you say, no, the average tariff under consumption, unless where you say, okay, in a month, you actually check how much we are going to, how much revenues that we made or the utility company made divided by the number of units that were consumed. And obviously you remove VAT, you remove exercise duty, and you find that the tariff should be maybe around 5, 7 cents. Usually it's about 5 cents. But individually, you have different tariffs based on your choices and your consumption trends. So you cannot have the same tariff. It's not possible. If I consume 200 units, my neighbor there will consumes 250 units. So we have different tariffs. And that's how it works. That's the sector we are in. So the lower the consumption, the lower the tariff. So I thought I needed to say this, but if you need this Excel model. I'm more than happy to give it to you if you have some questions, or whether it could be modeling questions. I have a bit of some time to discuss that with you. Thank you so much, and I hope you found this video beneficial. And I'll keep on popping up once in a while on my YouTube platform. Thank you so much, and bye bye. Have a lovely day.